good Thursday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ben Dery. Thanks for checking us out on the stream. So pretty much every day this week it's been 90 degrees or warmer. It's been super hot. We're about to break the heat as we head into tomorrow. We're going to drop from near 90 today into the 70s for high temperatures as we head into Friday. A lot of cloud cover and a threat for showers mainly in the morning hours. But then we head into the upcoming weekend. We'll likely see temperatures back up in the mid 80s. But we might be done with the big time heat for a while. So far, I think we've had 14 days so far this July of 90 degrees or warmer. And it looks like we'll tack on another day today before we start to see things cool down as we wrap up the month. Of course, it happens right at the end of the month, right? And the month of August, the first few days will be seasonably warm, but again, nothing like what we've seen earlier this week. This is a time-lapse loop from the sunrise this morning. A lot more high clouds today than what we've been used to this week. And notice there still is quite a bit of color in that sunrise. That's just because we have the added particles in the atmosphere thanks to distant wildfire smoke. So we've got some big-time fires that are burning over the Pacific Northwest. That's throwing smoke into the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. And because our weather pattern has been pretty slow moving, that smoke kind of lingers in our sky. So it will be with us over the next few days. We're not going to see a big change in that overall weather pattern, but it's lofted way up high in the sky, not necessarily having a big impact on our air quality. Let's talk about some of the things that could impact your day today and into tomorrow. Late this afternoon and evening, we'll be tracking some scattered showers and thunderstorms across far western Minnesota. There's a marginal risk for severe weather here. I think we could see some hailers, maybe some locally gusty wind. But as we head into tonight, the severe weather threat will wane. There is the potential for some very heavy rain through some parts of the state late tonight into tomorrow morning, though the trend has been to push that main swath of heavy rain south of the Twin Cities. So earlier this week, it looked like here in the Twin Cities, we'd be close to seeing some of that heavy rain, potentially several inches of rain. But as we get closer to the event, we're able to better decipher exactly where that heavy rain is going to set up. And it's kind of focusing in on the Minnesota River Valley, say from Montevideo down towards Granite Falls, even Mankato, seeing some of that heavy rain. And that's where we could see several inches of rain within a short time frame. So that's enough to kind of catch our attention. We still are expecting wet conditions for Friday's morning commute around the Twin Cities, but less impactful rain. You'll probably need a rain umbrella as we start off the day, but that's probably going to be about it. Here's a wide picture of what's happening region-wide, and notice we have scattered thunderstorm development. We did have some stronger storms over the UP of Michigan earlier this morning. You could see some development along the international border, and overall we have this trough of low pressure which is starting to take shape over the high plains states. That will be the focus for some afternoon thunderstorms later today, and whatever comes of that will push through the rest of the state as we head into tonight. We're also going to see a lot more high clouds moving through during the day today, and depending on how thick those clouds get, might actually prevent us from getting to 90 degrees today. So just slightly cooler with some actual cloudiness, not just the wildfire haze. That's what's in the forecast today. And there is a small chance at a couple of severe storms later today. The area highlighted in green is a marginal risk for severe weather. It includes western Minnesota, north central, northeastern Minnesota, including a sliver of far northern Wisconsin. These are for thunderstorms forecasts late this afternoon and into the evening hours. But again, once we get to sundown and the hours beyond, it looks like our chance for severe weather will be waning. Here's microcast, which is going to help to time out those thunderstorm chances. Let's push this into the afternoon. We'll pause this at 4 o'clock. There will be some stronger storms developing over the eastern Dakotas, and about this time they'll start to cross the border into far western Minnesota. Still dry around the Twin Cities at this time. Probably we'll have to wait until overnight tonight for our next chance of seeing some thunderstorms. This is midnight. You can see some shower activity starts to nudge into the Twin Cities, scattered non-severe stuff across the international border. But notice the focus for the brighter colors right here. That's where we have some heavy rain showers expected. Potentially several rounds of heavy rain for the Minnesota River Valley and south central Minnesota from late tonight into tomorrow morning. This is 7 o'clock tomorrow. Notice still wet around the Twin Cities, probably looking at a quarter to maybe up to a half an inch in places. Though I will say the trend has been for us to see drier conditions. So if we do get a stronger northeasterly wind developing, that would pull in some drier conditions. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a sharp cutoff between who saw some significant rain and who sees little to nothing. And unfortunately, that line is going to be near, maybe just south of the Twin Cities. Regardless, we're still focusing in on southern Minnesota at this hour. Some heavy rain potential there, but by noontime, can see a lot of the showers begin to leave the Twin Cities area. Still raining across southeastern Minnesota, but thinking the rain chances will gradually fade from northwest to southeast as we head into Friday afternoon and evening. If you do have any outdoor events planned later tomorrow afternoon and evening, I still think they should be good to go. Maybe a spotty shower on the back edge of this, but otherwise we're going to clear out as we head into tomorrow evening, and that'll set us up for a rain-free weekend. Now here's our forecast model showing potential for heavy rain. Now this takes us all the way through Friday evening. Notice we do have some bright spots here for the Minnesota River Valley along the I-90 corridor. This is where forecast models continue to paint the heaviest rainfall. Widespread 1 to 2 inches of rain looks pretty likely. That being said, there is some potential, I should say, that we could see some locally higher amounts, potentially 3, even 4 inches of rain over some isolated spots. And if we were to see that amount of rain within, again, a span of about, say, 10, 12 hours, something like that, we could certainly see some urban street flooding for poor drainage areas. We could see swelling of some creeks and streams and things like that. So just watch for that as we head into tomorrow morning when the heaviest rain is forecast. We could see some of those higher levels of water. But just keep in mind, too, that we haven't seen a ton of rainfall over the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of farm fields out there that tend to be pretty efficient at soaking in that moisture and not letting it run off. So we're hoping for that as we head into Friday. We could certainly use some of the rainfall, but unfortunately where we are seeing the growing drought, north central Minnesota, you can see Brainerd up towards Grand Rapids, probably missing out on some of the heaviest rainfall. I want to show you some pretty eye-popping numbers right here. This is our yearly rainfall so far. So a lot of information to take in right here, but basically we have several of our climate sites across the region. The top number is how much precipitation we've seen since January 1st. So going all the way back to the start of the year. The middle number there is the average by this point in the year, and the bottom number is the departure. And notice a common theme, we are all behind normal as far as precipitation goes. And of course, this includes snowfall in the winter months as well. But the Twin Cities, we are more than 3 1/3 inches below average for the year. Look at Brainerd. Brainerd's only seen less than 6 inches of precipitation so far this year. Normal today it's closer to 15 inches. We are more than 9 inches below average for precipitation. So that just shows us that that's the part of the state we are seeing increasing drought. I believe we still have some severe drought, which is starting to expand for some of these areas. The latest drought monitor will be released today, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some extreme levels of drought starting to take shape over parts of central and north central Minnesota. So we could use the rain, and unfortunately this is going to be more emphasized for the southern part of the state. So here's your weekend getaways forecast. Friday is going to bring the best potential for rain showers, but if you do have any outdoor events planned over the weekend, maybe doing some camping, I know that they're opening up parts of the Boundary Waters over the weekend, which is great news. We should see a mostly sunny sky. We'll call it seasonably warm temperatures, and we'll still probably see that haze on the horizon thanks to some distant wildfire smoke, but again, it's not going to have a big impact on air quality. For the Twin Cities specifically, Saturday and Sunday, you can expect more of that hazy sunshine, lower humidity, and overall a pretty decent weekend to get outside. Saturday is August 1st, and typically once we get into the month of August, we tend to see drier and sunnier conditions. August is one of the sunniest and calmest months of the entire year, and it tends to be a fan favorite, not only because we have the State Fair coming up later in August, but because the weather is just picture perfect summer weather. Here's our current air quality, and you can see something we've seen a lot of so far this season, or this month, I should say, or I should say this week, moderate air quality, which means, again, we've had those fires burning out in the Pacific Northwest. The reduced air quality is not due to local wildfires. These are fires that are about 1,000 miles away further west. The smoke lifts up into the air. It kind of gets dispersed with some of the cleaner air, and eventually it ends up in our neighborhood. So moderate levels of air quality. I would not expect to see a whole lot of changes in this. Probably through the next several days. It's going to take a major pattern shift before we see cleaner air quality. We either need to see air coming straight from the south or right from the northwest. which unfortunately is just not going to be the case over the next couple of days. Let's get a look at your forecast for today. Some afternoon storms will stay across western Minnesota. Again, marginal risk for severe weather, otherwise still hot and hazy. And the chance at 90 degrees today is pretty determinant on how much sunshine we see. So we're seeing a lot of high clouds this morning. If we do see that veil of overcast, that thin veil of overcast, that might actually prevent us from reaching 90 degrees. But regardless, today is as warm as the forecast gets. Region-wide, you can see temperatures ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s. You can see the chance for thunderstorms shows up across the international border in western Minnesota. Watch what happens as we head into tomorrow. A sharp drop in temperature. Notice the southern part of the state might not get out of the 60s for high temperatures. That would be a major drop from the 90-degree heat we've seen basically every day this week. We'll be near 80 here in the Twin Cities. The best chance for rain is the first half of the day. Notice drier conditions and warmer conditions are expected up across far northern Minnesota. Now here's your 7-day forecast, which does include that dip in temperature as we head into Friday. Once we get beyond Friday evening, we're back to our sunny roots. It looks like mostly sunny skies are expected both Saturday and Sunday, and it looks like the pleasant conditions will continue into early next week, the first full week of August. We are rain-free beyond Friday. There's a weak front that'll pass through on Tuesday. That could provide us with a couple of spotty showers, but it doesn't look like it'll be any heavy rain anytime soon. Let's go back to talk more about the impacts of this next weather system that's moving through. Later this afternoon, scattered thunderstorms out across western Minnesota. There is potential for heavy rain across parts of the state late tonight into tomorrow morning as a surface low pressure moves across the Minnesota-Iowa border. That'll spin this heavy swath of rain across the southern quarter of the state. And the trend, at least within forecast models, is to push the heaviest rain south. So it looks like areas along the Minnesota River Valley, say from south of, I'd say, Wilmer, through Montevideo, through New Ulm, Mankato. Those areas are highlighted with the best chance of seeing the widespread heavy rain. We're talking several inches of rain. But here in the Twin Cities, we'll probably still see wet conditions for your Friday morning commute, but it's probably going to be less impactful than what it looked like earlier this week. Now, here's our radar satellite composite, a wide view. We did have some stronger storms that crossed to the Lake Superior earlier this morning, dissipating storms across eastern Wisconsin. We'll continue to see some development across the international border today, but a trough of low pressure that's moving its way into the high plain states will be the source of our next chance for showers, and that will be increasing in nature as we head into the tail end of the day today and especially overnight tonight. As far as any severe weather potential, it's a small threat, but areas in far western and northern Minnesota have a marginal risk for severe weather. Notice it includes a sliver of northwest Wisconsin as well. Could see a couple of hailers and maybe some locally strong wind gusts, but otherwise the main headline is going to be for the potential for heavy rain. Let's take a look at microcast. Best chance for heavy thunderstorms is going to be from late this afternoon into the early evening. By the time we get into the overnight hours, these storms are going to congeal and provide less of a severe weather risk. So again, the main headline for tonight is going to be heavy rain. This is midnight, rain falling across the international border. Showers just starting to show up here in the Twin Cities, but notice the heavier rain, the brighter colors here, the yellows, oranges, and reds. That's mainly focused across southwestern and south central Minnesota, and that'll be the case through Friday's morning commute as well. This is 7 o'clock, pretty wet around the Twin Cities, drier conditions the further north you go, and you can still see that I-90 corridor. We'll continue to see those rounds of heavy rain moving through with, again, minimal chances at any severe weather tomorrow morning. Maybe a couple rumbles of thunder. That's probably going to be about it. By noontime tomorrow, you can see the rain leaving the Twin Cities. Still showers across the southeastern part of the state, but the overall involvement of this weather system will continue to push the rain out of here by Friday evening. Forecast models continue to show potential for heavy rain. The bright colored spots you see right here, that includes the Minnesota River Valley and, again, far southern Minnesota. The best chance at widespread 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of rain, but there is still potential, given how much moisture is in place, where we could see locally higher amounts. 3, 4, even 5 inches of rain possible for isolated spots. That's if we see these training thunderstorms or these storms moving over the same area over and over. So if you do know of any poor drainage areas, that's across the southwestern part of the state. If you are highlighted in some of those colors, just be mindful to watch out for maybe some urban street flooding, maybe even some swelling of creeks and streams, things like that. That's for Friday. Once we get beyond Friday, a lovely weekend is in store. If you don't have outdoor plans, you better make them, because weekends don't get any nicer than this. August 1st and 2nd will be a treat. Mostly sunny skies with more of that hazy sunshine. We stay seasonably warm through the first couple of days of next week, with maybe a spotty shower by Tuesday and an otherwise mainly quiet forecast.